Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Sayyid Akif Shah, lecturer finance at Institute of Business Studies, Kohart University of Science and Technology. The title of this course is Intermediate Accounting, and the course code for this subject is BS 363. This is lecture number 18, and the topic for today's discussion is types of problems in departmental accounts. The outline of this lecture consists of the discussion related with the types of problems. Basically, it has three types of problem. Number first is problems relating to the allocation of expenses. Second, problems relating to calculation of departmental costs. And third, problems relating to interdepartmental transfers. So the emphasis of this lecture will be to address the first case, that is problems relating to allocation of expenses to different accounts. So in order to explain this phenomena, or the first case, we have taken an illustration number 13.1 as an example to discuss the allocation of expenses. So dear student, in order to understand this phenomena, you have to thoroughly understand the illustration or given example or the problem. Only then you should be able to solve or properly allocate the expenses to its proper place and according to the proper ratios. Let's read the question thoroughly so that we should be able to solve this illustration. From the following balances prepared accounts to disclose total profit and the profit of the two departments A and B. This data has been extracted from the financial statement of a company, and it elaborates the department A and department B financial data along with certain notes at the end of the question, which assist us to allocate the expenses to the proper department. So the opening stock of department A is 15,200 rupees and the opening stock for department B is 10,800. Similarly, the purchases for department A is 75,100 and for the department B is 69,800. In the front of purchases, we have been given purchase return, which means that department A has received back its returned back its purchases by 1100 rupees and the department B has returned its purchases by 800 rupees. So if we net out the net purchases of department B, it would be 69,000 only, because we have returned 800 of commodity or inventory or products. Carriage inward is basically the purchase. It is an expense to bring these purchases into our stock or our company. So therefore these are part of the cost of goods sold statement, which you might have studied in cost accounting. So the carriage inward is 2,860 and this data is a gross data, which is 2,860, and there is no proper explanation regarding how much to allocate it to department A and how much to department B. So we have to divide this on the basis of the ratio of net purchases. Like we have to minus the purchase return from the purchases and then to calculate the ratio of net purchases for department A and ratio of net purchases for department B, and then to multiply it with the carriage inward will give us the relevant portion of expense pertaining to the specific department. Similarly, we are given salaries of department A and B clearly. Discount received is actually your a kind of revenue, because you have paid less amount on your purchases for department A and B. However, once again, specific discount for department A and B is not mentioned. It means that we have to calculate the discount received for Department A and Department B on the basis of net purchase ratio. Then the remaining data, rent and rates is 6,000, advertising is 8,100, insurance expense is 1,000, journal expenditures or expenses are 5,400, discount allowed on your sales. When you are selling out your commodity or products, you are going to give discount to the customer, which is actually your expense with respect to, or from the perspective of the company, it is an expense for the company. However, the customer who is receiving the discount, it is actually the discount received or revenue with respect to or from the perspective of customer. Accountancy charges are overall your accounting department charges. Further information tell us about that the journal salaries are to be allocated equally, like these 11,600 to be divided equally between A and B. The area occupied is in the ratio of 3:2. This area data belongs to our rent and rates. It helps us to divide the total amount of rent, which is 6,000, between Department A and Department B. Similarly, the C instruction tells us that insurance premium is for a comprehensive policy and allocation being inconvenient. So we have to assign this insurance premium, which is 1,000 rupees, at the end of the profit and loss and trading account. Finally, we have the data regarding the closing stocks of two departments are 17,800 and B is for B it is 15,600. And the question asks us to allocate the expenses properly. Another way around, we are required to make trading and profit and loss accounts. So dear student, this is the basic pattern for making the trading and profit and loss account. Trading and profit and loss account. So we are being given two departments, Department A and Department B. Therefore, this is a columnar basis of making departmental accounts. And the final column, third column, states total amounts. Then we have right hand side of this question, where once again we have department accounts, Department A, Department B, and then we have the third column which states the total column for both departments. So first of all, we have to make the trading account so that we come up or reach towards our desired portion. The left hand side, you have to write or start with total opening stock. And opening stock for Department A was 15,200 and for Department B it was 10,800. And the total amount for opening stock pertaining to Department A and Department B is 26,000 rupees. Let's counter check these values. 15,200 of opening stock. And the question states that this is the opening stock, which is 15,200 and 10,800 for Department A and Department B, which has been counter checked, and this is correct. Let's move back to the solution. Now we have to add total purchases rather than total. We have to net that out. So 74,000 for Department A, which are net purchases, and for Department B it is 69,000. We had 75,100 of purchases. However, there were 1,100 purchases returned. So after subtracting these two values, we come up with 74,000, and similarly for Department B, 69,000 minus 800 will give you 69,000 of net purchases. This is the way how we have calculated the net purchases amount. Net purchases for Department A, net purchases for Department B, and then we have the full final total column. Then we have carriage inward, and carriage inward should be divided on the basis of ratio of net purchases. So therefore we have carriage inward percentage calculation or ratios. How did we calculate it? Since this is to be divided between Department A and Department B, the total carriage inward in the question is 2860. Let's counter check once again. 2860 is the total carriage inward. This is the total carriage inward, and which we have to divide between Department A and Department B. The formula is to make a ratio of net purchases, and the net purchases for Department A is 74,000, whereas total value for the purchases is 1,43,000 rupees. So divide 74,000 by 173 and then multiply it with your given carriage inward amount. It will give you 1479.99, which you can round it to 1480 as we have done. And similarly for Department B, you can use the similar ratio, and the resultant value is 1380. So this is the way you can divide the carriage inward between Department A and Department B. Now let's discuss gross profit calculation. But before discussing gross profit, let's move towards right hand side. Once again, we have to write Department A, Department B, and then the total column. We have to write the sales value at the top, which is 100,000 for Department A and 80,000 for Department B, and the total sale volume was 180,000 rupees. The closing stock data was given at the end of the question, which was 17,800 for Department A and 15,000 for Department B. So therefore the total value for closing stock is 33,400. You need to add these two up and it will give you 117,800. Similarly, add this column towards 95,600, and then the total column by adding or summing them up will give you 213,400 rupees. Now, as we don't know about the gross profit, so the simple mechanism or simple method to find out gross profit for each department is to add these two columns at the right hand side and then to add these three values. If these three values are less than this gross accumulated value, then you can simply put this value over here in the total section of column A, and then to divide then subtract these three values accumulated resultant value, like 1,17,800 minus the sum up or accumulated value of all these three will give you the gross profit of 27,120. Another way around, you can also use as yellow highlighted just beneath the gross profit of Department A. So the calculation is in the cost accounting. In order to come up at the gross profit, you are required to find out the cost of goods sold first. So the method to calculate cost of goods sold is, as the formula for calculating the gross profit is sales minus cost of goods sold will give you the gross profit. We have the sales data, which is 1 lakh. However, we don't have cost of goods sold. Therefore, we have to calculate it on the basis of given relevant data. How to do that? It is very simple to add up or write the opening stock first, add net purchasing in it, plus the carriage inward. You have to add all of these minus the ending stock. Sum these three values. It will give you 99,680. Then subtract the ending stock of Department A, which is 17,800. It will give you the final cost of goods sold, which is 72,860. So now you are in a position to minus net sale minus cost of goods sold will give you the gross profit. The net sale is 100,000 rupees minus 72,800. Therefore, the gross profit is 27,120, which is the same one as we have calculated in the easy way to add up all the values of right hand side and then to subtract these three values from it. It will give you the gross profit. The similar method was adopted for your second value of gross profit. Here the Department B's total value for this column is 95,600. You can simply minus these three values from this value and it will give you the relevant gross profit of 14,420. You can also add both these values and it will give you the final value for the third total column. And this is the way you can find out the gross profit for Department A, for Department B, and then the accumulated gross profit for both departments. The next step in this profit and loss statement or trading account is to carry down this gross profit to the right hand side. So we done the same, Department A's gross profit, Department B, and then the total. Now we have to look at the other expenses available in the question. These are the remaining expenditures right from salaries to the accountancy charges, which needs to be divided between Department A and Department B. The salaries of Department A and B are clear, so we can plug those expenses directly into the relevant department. However, for journal salaries or journal expenses, the note states that to divide both equally between the two departments. So we have to divide this 11,000 by 2 and we can allocate the journal salaries into proper sections. So journal specific salaries has been mentioned directly. Journal salaries equally divided between 2. Now it's time to divide the rent and rate. For rent and rates, we were given 3:2 division between these two departments. So therefore, we done the same 3:2 for Department A. How did we calculate it? We can divide 3 by 5 since we have to plus these two ratios to come up with the accumulated division point, which is 5. So 3 divided by 5 multiply by the total amount of rents and rate which was given in the question. So for Department A, rent and rates value is 3,600, and with the help of this formula for Department B, it is 2,400. Next, the question states that for journal, advertising and discount allowed, we have to use the sales ratio data. For advertising, sales ratio to calculate is to look at the right hand side. The sales volume for Department A is 1 lakh. We need to divide it with the total sales as we done same. Multiply it with the total amount of advertising, which is 8,100. So this is the total value for advertising, which was divided with the help of this sales ratios, and it has given us 4,499.9, which can be rounded towards 4,500. And in the similar fashion, once again we can make the ratio for sales for the Department B by dividing 80,000 with total amount of sales, which is 180,000, and then multiply it with the relevant total value of advertising and expenditures. It has given us 3,599.999, which can be rounded with 3,600. So with the same formula, we have calculated the journal expenditures, since the total value of journal expenditure was given. And similarly for discount allowed, we have used the same formula to divide total discount of 1,800 by using the sales ratio. So after doing this, let's come towards the right hand side where we have to divide the discount received as well. Since discount received is a kind of profit or revenue what we have received on our purchases, therefore we have to add this up into gross profit. How to divide it? We can divide this gross, or we have divided this gross profit, discount received of 1,430 with the help of ratio of net purchases, as we have done previously. Now after doing this, we have to once again add up the columns. Add this column and it has given us 27,860, and similarly add up all these expenses. you have to minus these expenses from this Department A's operating income, and the resultant value is 960, which is our net profit after taking into consideration the related operating and all expenses. Similarly, once again we have to add both sides. The method is to add up both columns. Let's suppose this value was not mentioned. Add up both columns, and this column value was greater than the Department B's right hand side. So therefore we can directly move this value towards here. 23,500 were our total expenses. However, for the profit, operating profit or the gross profit of Department B was lesser than the expenses. Therefore, resultantly we come up with the net loss of 8,390. Therefore, we have narrated it with the proper title of net loss of 8,390. Add both columns so that we both sides must be equal, and we have done the same for all three columns. This is our total section or total column. Similarly, this side is our total column. This value is 7,430 is because of the fact that this 8,390 is in loss. However, we have 960 in profit. Set these two values, and the remaining loss as a whole for the company is 7,430. Now after doing that, you can just simply brought down this net loss so far we have done in our final column to the accumulated side, which is 7,430, our net loss to be brought down. Now we have to allocate the remaining expenses in the question, and the remaining expenses in the question or the data was insurance expense and the accountancy charges. Since there is no proper mechanism or the data was not given how to divide these two between Department A and Department B, therefore we have mentioned these two at the end of the accumulated resultant value for Department A and Department B, which was actually in loss of 7,430. And beside that, we have to minus insurance expense and as well as the accountancy charges. So therefore the resultant loss to the company is 8,930, and the same value should be written at the right hand side so that the question meets its requirement. This is the way how you can divide the expenses. At the end of the question, we were also given certain kind of data like how to divide carriage inward, discount received have been allocated in the ratio of net purchases as we have done in the question. And for the advertising, journal expenditure and discount allowed, we have to divide them with respect to the ratio of sales. And how to divide different kind of expenses with respect to sale, with respect to net purchases, area occupied and meter and points. This has already been covered in my previous lecture on departmental accounts. So you can go back and listen to that lecture in order to know how to divide a particular expenditure with respect to certain ratio of sales or net purchases or whatever you are going to opt a particular principle for division of those expenses. So this is all about the departmental trading and profit and loss account and how to make it if there are two departments. So how to make a complete departmental trading and profit and loss account. I hope you understand the division of different kind of expenses between Department A and Department B. This is also known as a columnar basis of departmental account. So thank you very much for listening to this lecture. If you have any confusion, you can ask freely your question on KCMS, or another way around, you can also email me on my official email address. Good luck for the day. Allah Hafiz.